With over 125 years of service to our community, Murphy Roof and Neck Brian Donnelly Funeral Home is the leader in funeral and memorial services. Our team invites you to explore the ways to celebrate and honor a life. We specialize in funeral, burial, and cremation services. Also, we have pet services available. Donnelly Funeral Home has locations in both South Philadelphia and South Jersey. Find out why we were just named Best of Philly. Give us a call at 215-334-1578 or visit us at brianwdonnellyfuneralhome.com. When it has to be special, it has to be Donnelly.
We want to give a special shout out to the official jeweler of Mum Nation, Jewelry by Joseph. You can reach him at josephpizzo57@gmail.com and be sure to check out all of his posts featured on Mum Nation for 10% off of your order.
What's up, guys? Back again in our same spot. We got a great guest for you tonight. Butch D'Amato is here with us tonight. Carmen, Butch, I don't know what he's going to want us to call him, but we'll
I didn't know he
figure
was
it out.
Carmen until a little bit ago.
Really? Just thought that's what his birth certificate said, Butchie D'Amato.
I just always know him as Butchie.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to him and pick his brain. And I know you were really bouncing off the wall. I mean, you were excited about Bill Bowen, and then Bill Bowen called him to get him to.
I called in the big guns to get him.
Can't say no to Bill. We said that on the episode, and there
Yes,
you go.
you did.
Butchie answered the call, so now you can't say no to him. You can't say no to Bill Bowen. So you got to come down.
Oh, we're
now.
set now.
Or both of them are going to show up at your door and be knocking and tell you to come down here. Now, this is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited to look into his mind and figure out some of the stuff that he's done throughout the years as captain, and even beyond that, because he's still heavily
That's
involved
definitely a
now,
mind I
so-
would love to pick.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that. But before we get to him, just a minute, we got to hit all of our normal messages, and I want to talk about the poll that we had up in the last episode.
Brought to you by Jewelry by Joseph, the official jeweler of Mum Nation. What was your favorite Frailinger 8 in a row theme under Bill Bowen? So the results came in. So of those 7 themes, Cowboys came in at 38%, which was Grab Your Partner, Swing Them Round. Frailinger is Westward Bound. That was 2008. In second was Gypsies, 2005 at 31%. Third, Rio, 15%. Fourth, there was a tie between Pirates 2004 and Native Americans 2007, 8%. And there was not a fifth to that tie. And then sixth, there was also a tie with Space in 2003 and Arabian 2009, 0%.
I thought that was interesting too, and I made note of it because I remember Bill saying that his one theme in that run that he didn't think deserved a first prize, or he would have been okay with not getting first prize, was the space. And apparently other people agree with that too. I actually did agree with that as my least favorite one, to be honest with you. Again, I know space is really not my thing. It's really not my favorite. Bill said something similar, but I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me yet. It was the beginning of the run, so you could tell they were kind of still catching their stride, and each one got a little bit better. I do have to say though, I don't know how you guys feel, because I know you're both mum tape freaks and all. I was actually surprised it was the cowboy theme.
I was too. I was thinking like Gypsies would be higher up, but
Still undefeated.
you voted.
Cowboys.
Really,
Love that theme. I love Billy Suit.
I like the music as a musician. I think that the music is my favorite out of the 8 run. Maybe, I don't know, maybe tied with the Native American. I did think that musical arrangement was really, really, really sharp. But I don't know. I can't budge off the Gypsies, man. The Gypsies was a sharp show from beginning to end. The costumes, the music, just everything that they had. I didn't not like the Cowboys. I mean, I think it's a viable option, obviously.
One of my favorite things about the Cowboys was the thing that Billy talked about, the stagecoach coming in at the end.
Yeah.
He threw that in at the end, and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it worked out. But yeah, I mean, so there you go. Cowboys number 1, 38%. That was pretty.
It's pretty high.
7% win. So yeah, that's pretty demanding. And then our next poll is going to be.
Yeah, so Butchie's first and last championships as captain were both classic Vikings themes. Which do you prefer? Motor City Motivation or 1996 Battle of the Superpowers for Gotham's sake?
Don't get too excited and say it. Save it for the poll.
I already know where I'm going. I think this one's going to be a close one, though.
This one's tough.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your bookend first prizes in your career being those 2 themes? Motor
And
City
honestly,
Motivation.
I think both just reading, if you've never heard of Mummers or haven't watched those shows, you're going to be like, what the hell are those? I need to go watch them. So make sure you tune in and watch them and then come out and vote and comment.
Motor City Motivation is just great. Like to think that was, I think if you're looking at we had his themes and his prize. That was the second year he was captain, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So imagine going from, I mean, first year I think it was the 3rd prize, if right, fourth
Fourth.
to that. was just one of your most
3 in a row,
iconic,
too.
and even the fourth prize was the West Side Story thing, right? The Under the Sea thing.
Seaside Story. Yep.
Yeah, even that was, I mean, pretty different for the time, I would think. I mean, you look at it now and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then how they going to do something better than that? You know, if you hadn't seen it yet, if you were watching, you know, back in that era, and then boom, they hit you with Motor City Motivation.
Oh, I was
It's
back
so
in that
cool.
era, and it was wow.
That's crazy. Did you see any of that live at all?
Yeah. I saw the Motor City Motivation. They drilled at Broaden, Oregon, and I walked up and seen
You were
it.
in suit then, or no?
I was in suit with the Merrymakers.
Ugh, God bless
Got
you.
off the bus and took a walk up, and
Went home.
yeah, they didn't. I mean, you didn't expect to win, but when you saw something like that, you were like, "My God!" You knew looking at it, it was changing the parade.
Oh, absolutely. So definitely, this may be above any other poll that we had. Is the one I'm the most interested in seeing.
I really think this one's going to be tight. I really do.
Only because they literally are both iconic themes when it comes to the brigade division. Not even the brigade division. I think just the mummers division
Overall,
in general.
yep.
Those two themes you always hear those two themes
The
talked about.
approach.
Yeah, so I'm definitely really excited to see the results on that. So don't forget to vote, and even if you did vote, comment because you can elaborate further why you voted for that particular theme. So leave a comment on Spotify, leave a comment. I think you can comment on Apple Podcasts too. I'll double check, but definitely take a look at that and see if you can. And then the sponsors for today, the Fall Festival was a success, by the way.
Yeah, that was a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was nice. It was a nice turnout.
Yes, that was. I think there's a couple pictures on Mom Nation.
I believe they put some up. Yeah,
Yeah, so check it out.
I was
It
too busy
a-
standing over there being hungover all day.
Brian was telling us all about it. It was an unbelievable event. Billy, you were able to be here, right? We couldn't make it, but we heard awesome things about it. So I'm glad that really worked out for the museum. And then we have the Mummers Vets thing, right?
Yeah, so we have the Mummers for Vets event coming up very soon, November 17th from 1 to 3 here at the Mummers Museum. Also in November, at the end of the month, the 30th, we have some event that we're going to share more information about. We're still waiting to get further details, but stay tuned for that. And then December 7th, we have Breakfast with Santa. So more details to come on that as well. We already mentioned December 10th, Tuesday evening, we have the Christmas memorial lighting ceremony.
Yep.
So that's open to the public. It's a really nice idea. And that's also here. And then on Cat Day, Kazoo Day, Soup Sunday, whatever you call it, the Mummers Museum will be outside, so you can sign up, renew your membership, join if you haven't. It's a great time. They'll be here. You're going to be here anyway, so you might as well spend your $25 here and come join and reap the benefits.
And the three of us will be towards the front of the line if we're not the first three. Definitely, we will be here for that. And then the sponsor of today's episode is Mr. Brian Donnelly, the guy who unlocks the door for us at Murphy Roof&Knock. Brian W. Donnelly Funeral Home, located at 2239 South 3rd Street, right down the way from the Mummers Museum. And his phone number is 215-334-1578. Hopefully you don't need him yet, but you know when you do, he does a good job.
Oh, God.
But we don't want to take up any more time because I'm excited to get to Butchie. So let's bring him in. So a couple weeks ago, we had a chance to sit down with the string band division legend, Bill Bowen, one of the greatest of all time, if not to some the greatest of all time. And now switching to the Fancy Brigades, Carmen Diamato, Butch, as everybody calls him, is probably neck and neck, I would think, with a guy like Bill Bowen over on the string band side. Of course, they got each other to come down here and be part of this. So, I mean, he's a guy that helped so many mummers, defeated a lot more in competition, but always willing to lend a hand to the young guys, to other clubs, no matter what the division is. And he's a great guy, and we're really honored to have him down here. The man, as he's known as. A lot of nicknames for him.
Yeah.
Well, let's welcome him in.
I'm good.
So yeah, I enjoyed comics. That was the start of it. And then to give you just a little history, I then marched with my uncles for, a number of years till I was maybe 11 or 12, 13 years old. They dressed you. They became less and less interested in putting quality out there. So we being the nephews, grandsons, whatever, they used to put budandis on you, a little rope on your tail, drew lines on your forehead and here, and you were a mouse. And you followed the band. And there was like 30 of us, and like we were trying to hide on Broad Street. That's how terrible we were dressed. So from then on, I started planning, I can't do this. I got to do something better. So I always prided myself on dressing people the best I could so they could be proud of whatever they had on. So for a couple years, I didn't march with them. And then 17 years old, I went down, knocked on Joe Puro's door, who happened to live right up the street from the museum here, and he gave me a shot of starting a brigade. Our first parade was 1970.
And that was the Vikings or not yet?
South Philly Comics.
Okay.
So we started a little brigade. It was like 40 of us. And we were little wild kids from South Philly. And I had one kid who used to like to spit fire. So I made him put some whatever fluid in his mouth. And we were dressed as Indians. We made a Cheyenne fire dance. We made a circle. We blew fire at the judges. We won third prize first time being out there. So that was fun.
Real fire?
Real fire. Like I don't know, however kids did it in the neighborhood. I said, we're going to use that. That's good.
And that was allowed then, or you just took a shot?
In the parade, I remember when we were younger, it was fun. You had people on potties and floats where the walls came down and a guy sitting on a toilet and all the craziest things. That was the Mummers Parade to me. It was a lot of fun. So they allowed you to do things that you would never do today because of all these rules and things. And they took a lot of the fun out of it. But we enjoyed ourselves. So I kind of was never a big rules guy. You know, if you gave me the book, I throw it in the trash because you want to have fun. That's the first thing. So we had fun with it. And then the neighborhood got excited about it, and we started building momentum, and we marched for like 15 years in the comics. I switched from Puro to Liberty Clowns because he used to give me feathers instead of the prize money. So Liberty Clowns were a little smarter. They reeled me in by saying, hey, we'll at least give you the prize money, because I was building a whole neighborhood of features for them, being juveniles, groups, brigades. So if you look at all the years Liberty Clowns had won, I was a big part of that until 1986 when we merged with the Vikings. And then the brigades at a meeting decided that I could keep the South Philly part because I put so much time into it. So we became the South Philly Vikings.
And that used to be under the mother clubs, right? The brigades were...
The brigades were all under, the comic brigades were all under the different mother clubs of the comics, like Puro, Hammond, it was Liberty Clowns, Landy, a few different clubs. And today it's a shame it's so diminished, but Liberty Clowns was a force in them days, and I was a big part of that. And it wasn't just me, it was my neighborhood. We built momentum in the community where, even at one point, I don't know if you guys remember, you're a lot younger than me, but Hank Sperker was a big Channel 6 guy, came to our neighborhood, and they were going through the basements of all the houses where I had women sewing things and men, who's making this, who's making that. It was incredible how a whole community got together, and everyone blames me because I was, I was the guy that initiated it, but it was basically the community and the support I had from everybody around me that was the success of that. So then I guess a lot of our people got bored with marching in the comics. I believe we won like 12 first prizes down there. We did a bunch of stuff that was incredible. And then brigades kind of canvassed me. Davey Mozinski, God rest his soul, he was one of the guys, Big Don Cola. A few of them came, Tom Clooney, said, why don't you, get involved with the brigades? You put so much time into what you do with these shows, because our shows in the comics look like brigade shows that were, competitive. And then a lot of my members, they said, okay, we had a vote. There was a couple hundred of us in the comics. We worked down to be about 60 of us because the cost factor was totally different. So most became marshals. But then we took a shot in 1986 was our first year. We marched under the Vikings. It was Pete DiMattei was the captain. Then the next year, which would have been 87, is I marched as captain.
Was it different marching as captain with the South Philly Vikings from South Philly for you?
Very different. I was more of a producer than I was a captain. I'm not a big guy. You could look at my record and see it didn't show much as far as captain is concerned. I was the guy who liked to put the whole thing together. That's who I am. Yeah. And for the most part, even in the comics, I would stand on the side and make sure everything was working right. But I made sure things got done and they got built. I'm a carpenter by trade. And made sure that everybody did what they had to do. But the point is, I have very disciplined people. And marching in the brigades, it was a pride thing. Everybody, no, you have to be captain. I wasn't crazy about it, but I did it.
Do you ever miss the comics?
I gotta say, I had a good time there, but I think I wore that out where I just didn't need it any longer, But I so respect what they do as well, because we work hard. I mean, you'll see them little brigades out there in the comics. That takes as much work as anything.
Yeah.
Believe me, to pull everybody together. It's families with their kids. When I see them all, because that's what it starts with, a community. So when I see them, I already reminisce back and say, I know what that is, and it's important that you keep them all involved.
So you were kind of involved from the very beginning, right? Like every iteration of what the Vikings eventually became.
Absolutely,
correct?
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I'm the founder, period.
So it's your baby.
Yep.
So you're pretty connected to it even still today, even not in a
I
suit
just
anymore.
left the garage building folks, so I think so.
Good. We're keeping you here all night.
No, it's okay. I'm good.
Now
Good, you keep giving me a break. I got a break here right now.
Because you mentioned that you were never really concerned with the actual captain part of it, but you were a captain, I guess, to be the person that was able to be that producer kind of guy. So if I had to ask you specifically the question, what in your mind makes a good captain? What would your answer be?
I always seen myself as one of the people, I don't know many others, that were captains that can do the entire circle of what happens in a brigade. Now, what do I mean by that? One year I actually sang, and it was played at City Hall. People don't know that. It was a James Brown song. Get up off of that thing. I was doing the whole thing, and still till today, some of my members get the biggest kick out of it, because if you ever see it, that's me singing it. At any rate, because we didn't have the technology that you young people have today, we couldn't get the track down, so I sang it. So I got involved with music. I got involved with choreography. I got involved with building the props. My father-in-law, God rest his soul, was a phenomenal tailor, worked for Ben and Bob and James and Son and different costumers around the city as a tailor. So he taught me how to make patterns. In fact, when Davey first got started, I was highly involved with Davey. His first shoot was we took out Dirty Dancing, and we laid that out together.
My favorite.
Yep. I was highly involved with that. I'm just not, I don't see the Mummers as any kind of business for me. It's always been a charitable, heart thing for me. I have to help, and I've never seen it as a money thing. I'd be the worst businessman ever if I ever got involved with Mummers business in any way.
So let me rewind a little bit, because I'm curious. When you were a kid, what were some of your creative outlets, or what did you do? Did you have creative talents, drawing, building little things, tinkering?
Singing, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't do much of that. I'm bashful, by the way. Everybody don't realize that. I'm really that type. I'm not really a show-off that way, but I did. We're a very poor family from downtown in the St. Nick's Parish. We always talk about parishes in Philly, but I remember as a young fella, my mom couldn't afford Christmas decorations. So there I am as a kid soaping up the windows with Santa Claus and doing all drawings. So I was kind of handy even with artwork.
So is your mind always going? The imagination?
Well, if you show me something and you put me on track with it, absolutely. I can't help myself.
Because some of your themes they're off the wall, some of your ideas. When I researching, I was looking at them, and I've watched them 1,000 times, but some of them were like Dirty Dancing, you mentioned. The idea of taking the movie and turning it into dirt, trash. It's phenomenal. Right down to my favorite kid suit of all time, the Brussels of the broom going off.
The broom bristles. But again, I'm riding by a pile of trash with one of my dear friends who just passed away, Joey Pinto. I said, see that pile of trash? We're going to be dirty dancing this year. And he looked at me, he thought I was out of my mind. And then to lay that costume out, if I'm not dragging this out for you, I took and went to the supermarket and bought everything bright that I could find. Hers bags was one of the main things, and I put them on the table. I said, kids, eat. They ate them all, and then I get Davey, and I went, make me a costume. And he looked at me like I was out of my mind. So they said, well, how do you know that's going to be trash? I said, watch. I went and got a trash can, and I went and got a box. I put them there, and then I said, get in the box with that suit. Come out. What are you? They went, trash. All right, well, that's it. So
That was your opening scene.
there you go. So, and then the fat lady suit was the funniest thing with him. Like, he wasn't crazy about the pink lady in the bag.
Oh, the hefty bag?
I just used the word hefty, and I just went off for that and had a lot of fun with it. And
I
God
never
rest
put that
my
together.
sister doing, yeah. I did them, so I am the roots guy to that. So my favorite thing of that year was auditioning grown men bigger than my friend here, okay?
Thanks, buddy.
Doing the swim, the monkey, the mashed potatoes. If you've seen it, still till today, I could get that visual and laugh imagine 30 men all trying out, doing all them moves, and it was just so much fun to do.
Yeah.
So that's the parade to me.
Fun.
That's it.
When you were captain, what was the thing that you were the most concerned with, aside from fun? Because we all know we want to have fun, but business side, creative side. What was the thing that you were the most concerned with pulling off every year?
Getting done.
Well, that's important.
Completing the show, which
Never
you are
enough
never
time.
done until you turn city.
Never enough time.
And then in them days, it's like starting out in the brigades, it was pretty hard for them to digest because in the comics, I would make all the floats and I didn't care. I just drilled my comic clubs, but they didn't have to touch a float. And in the brigades, I needed more support and more help. So the biggest thing was to get things done.
Were you strict?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm one of the strictest, probably captains. Our club will tell you they wish I would go back because the kids are so spoiled today. But I said there'll be nobody left.
Yeah.
I threw them all out of here. So
Just had this conversation with Charlie down in the basement Friday night.
Very tough.
It drives me nuts coming down 2nd Street because I was old school. You marched. Now it's just a mob.
Yep. No discipline.
No.
They have. We were just talking about that even for the Columbus Day Parade. I'm going to try to help out and organize that better. It's so important to look right and clean. We pride ourselves in spending a fortune, and then I was always so proud of my club's name and us.
Yeah.
That I never wanted to look for. Like I would go crazy on them, even if we did Wildwood and people would walk down with their masks off or half their suits, and it would drive me crazy. Let's not do it. If we're not, it's like going and doing a show and you're being yourself. Like who is that? Do you ever go to a concert and you see somebody and you're so disappointed? That's how I look at us. We're here entertaining people, and maybe they came far and away to come and see us, and then you're walking down the street like nobody cares. That part just always didn't sit well with me.
No, I agree with that. It's good to hear somebody of your stature.
I'd say it
agrees
right
with
to
that.
them. They know it.
Now,
That's
with being captain, did you have an idea how you were going to approach that, or did you just kind of feel it out with?
Well, when I first got involved with the brigades, in the comics, I ran the full show. In the brigades, we tried to do the very first year committees, like where they had these committees because of all the money involved. So I respected that. I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And they turned in a fish suit, which came in second. My first suit was going to be King Kong in the brigades. And someone was taking out Jungle, so I got knocked off. I always liked King Kong. I did it in the comics. I had a great time with it. I figured my initial thing to walk into the brigades, I wanted to do King Kong. So I get knocked off, and we're going to do fish. So the committee picks this fish, and then the suits, they had no story, no nothing. I'm like, scratching my head. I know what I'm going to do. I did West Side Story with the fish, the sharks, the jets. I did that whole thing. So we made a little theme out of it. I think we come in 4th that year.
Yes.
Everybody was happy except for one thing. My group, my people, some of the original Vikings were still there, said, if Butchie don't run this whole thing, we're not going to. So they had an election, a vote, and they said, he runs the whole show. And some of them other members did quit. They didn't like that idea because they came up with these designs, 3-headed fish. I would never put a 3-headed fish out there, but it was out there. So at any rate, we got laughed at. My guys were laughing at themselves. At any rate, that particular year, I come up with Motor City, Motivation. And it was quiet. Nobody knew anything because I ran the whole thing. And God rest his soul, I'm talking about so many people that passed away. Bob Finnegan was one of my favorite people. And he wasn't this day. Because I went to Chick Veezy to make our costumes, and Bob's a designer. So I tell him what I want. I said, I need a guy with a breather and a motor, blah, blah, blah. He said, okay. I come back. He drew exactly what Golden Crown would look like. Starlight Express on Broadway, windshields on our heads, all these people in skates. I went, time out. I put these tables together, and all the drawings were there. I put a trash can at the end of the table, true story. I wiped all the drawings and put them in the trash. I went, now let's start all over again. I said, I need a guy with a breather. So Bob Finnegan's looking, he goes, well, then draw it. Real mad at me. I said, okay, I draw it. I just told you earlier, I'm handy. He said, then turn it in. I said, all right, I'll turn it in. And who was it? Franny Bone was the guy who monitored the themes in them days. And he laughed. He said, what is that? I said, it's a motor guy. He said, all right, Motorhead. They still have it in somewhere. And it was a lot of fun to do that show. The rest was history. We come out of the warehouse with 11 props and people with gears on their faces and stuff, and everybody
changed the parade.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And we had a rhythm section that year, which in the brigades I never had liked the horns and the bands because You got a great group of musicians in a studio, did your tape, you rehearsed. When you got to Broad Street, it was a different group. Then you get to City Hall, it was another group. So all these different bands are going to miss something. So I went nuts on them, and I said, no, I want a bass section. I need a bass guitar, a guitar, and a set of drums. So I drove them crazy, and there we got it. But that rhythm section had such a sound that people followed us, that still till today my hair stands up, followed us from Broad and Oregon all the way to City Hall. Like, I felt in that show like I was off the ground. That's how much fun it was to do. Because it was so different. Like
I saw you at Marconi Plaza in the morning.
Yeah.
That's back when you drove up the buses. And I walked up, and I remember walking back to my brother, and he said, how'd they look? I said, I'd never seen anything like that in my life. It changed the parade.
Fun, yeah. And again, coming back to fun. When you see
Yeah.
people having fun, everybody having a good time, I think that's what they miss. Look, I know everybody wants to win. I feel that every child should win, everybody. I look at other kids, it breaks my heart to say that we beat anybody, honestly.
Right.
You know, people want to hear that. But my true purpose was to be so unique and different that our people got excited and people got excited to see us. Now, if we were rewarded for that, then that's that. But that wasn't really, you know, everybody's got this thing that Butchie has to win. It's not true. That's not the way to approach this.
Do you think fun equates to confidence?
Well, I think it's a mix. I would think it's a mix. If you do that too early sometimes, my fun was keeping us clandestine, real quiet, all inside. Everybody wanted to know what we were doing. I had a great time with that.
Still like that.
It's still kind of like
Nothing's
that.
changed.
Right. So we have fun creating that stuff. And then confidence is that we're going to get it done. And we grew now to be like, it's multiple. My brother Petey was a phenomenal captain. My son wore a captain suit. My friends and my nephew Gerald wore a captain suit. Everybody in our particular club doesn't see that title and say, oh, I'm somebody special. We're all still involved today. We will help Louis because he's the guy we chose, the chosen one. And whatever his ideas are, and that's how it worked with me. If I came up with the idea and the plan, everybody, that was the funnel. Everything goes to that guy.
So all them themes that you took out, they were all yours?
Yes.
You never had you were blank, you had nothing?
No, I always had something. I had fun. Petey, the 1 year that I didn't do much was the year he was Pirates. He said, Butch, I want you to take a break. I want to do it all. I said, okay. And then when I saw it, all together, I was disappointed in a couple of things. They did a phenomenal job with the props. One judge thought that the boat broke, not sank. They sank that ship.
Yeah.
They did a phenomenal job with that show, but the colors were off. So the next year he says, well, bro, we need your help. I said, look, I'm here. Whatever you need. You're my brother. That club is me. So from there, I said, don't think we're going to walk out and win first prize. Don't get that out of your head. 3, 2, 1. I didn't know it was going to be 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. You start winning like crazy. And for Petey, I would say for me, I enjoyed so much watching my kid brother succeed. He had me to look out for him as captain. So there was things like he does that Indian show, and I'm there the day before the parade. I went, he just can't show up on top of that hill and be standing there. I made them a shutter overnight where, like, how you see the Indian shows where cowboys and Indians, all of a sudden the chief's on the mountain. I had that visual. I had to have it done, and I'd do it for him, but I would do it again, and a lot of success. And then there's time you get to a point where you're tired or you feel like age-wise, it's time to move on. But the exciting thing about our particular group is that we don't see any individual success. We see it as a whole thing, a group, and every one of us respect that.
You got a pretty strong nucleus still up there.
Oh, my God. They're more dangerous now than ever. Me, personally, I'm worried about the whole art of mummery more than I am worried about our club. Yeah, I was the guy who came up with the whole concept for the convention center, and there's a real reason for that, okay? 1997 was the last year we marched on Broad Street. And I'm looking and I'm going, this is sad. We got to fix this. After all them years of marching on Broad Street, I realized we're drilling straight forward to the same people that watched me for months drill, while all the spectators are on the side.
Yeah.
Then at 5 o'clock at night, the sun would go down, the streets would empty out, and we used to call it the Death March to Pretend by my cousin Johnny Bum. Like, there's nobody out here. What are we doing? We get to City Hall, there's some people, but the whole march along the way was empty. And then when we get to City Hall, I had a manager that I worked for who did some filming for me and filmed the whole show. And I give him my captain's tickets, which everybody involved with me was always involved. He took pictures and I saw it was the back of our props. I was blown away that they were my captain's seats. I never knew. I said, well, how many people, we did a site analysis and a study. I said, how many people really see the show after 200,000? Today it's 200,000, but in them days, even if it was 150,000, right? They said about 75 if you're lucky. See it straight on. I went, oh, we got to change it.
I never thought of that.
I went down and made that same Mike Hennessy was put everything together and I put it into a concept and I said to the brigades, we have to have a meeting and talk about this. So we discuss it. Most of the brigades came in with hatchets to chop it up. And when they saw the concept and really what's going on, it opened everyone's eyes. And I've only felt that if we didn't go down that path, we'd probably have 5 or 6 clubs left today if we were lucky. So without a bigger group to compete against, when I started out in the brigades, I think it was 22 brigades. Mm-hmm. We're down to 11 now or whatever. 10. So that is what I most, and I so respect what you're doing. In fact, helping market, helping produce, helping people understand what this parade's really about.
Right.
Is that it's in jeopardy to me because it keeps dwindling. I think I'm hearing bands are going to lose. There's a couple bands going down. That's sad. Now, the parade started out years ago as they'll learn and hear that it came from wenches and comics, and them groups are growing. It ain't like there's less people involved. It's where are they at?
It's the money.
Yep.
Exactly. The money's making them go towards these wench groups or whatever, and I get it. So us going into the convention center made it possible after 32 years for the Jokers to win first prize. Okay, I really believe that I was helpful in that.
Right.
Or like the Saturnalians to win again, or like the Downtowners. And that's what I root on. Now, look, we ain't going to hand it to you. Our group is the kind of group I just said. We will work hard to not only pride ourselves, to make the audience and everyone have a good time. And if we're rewarded, we're rewarded. We handle losing better than any other club because that's the way I breaded them, you know? Right. And that's the truth. So I worry more when it comes down to our art, this is something we have a lot of passion about, is that we need to work hard, work together to try to make it better.
Right.
What was some of the pushback you got on moving into the convention center?
Oh my God, everybody was against us. You name it.
Because it seemed like you had to figure it out.
Yeah, the city was first. They take me to Rendell, and it was certain politicians that are good guys. They meant well, but they were afraid between the union stuff and you know how politicians are. They play that game. They're on one side with a flag. It's going good. They'll jump in with you. But if they're not, they're going to run away because they're votes. But I had nothing to lose but do something better. And I had the confidence of the brigades, and that made me fight even harder to get it done. So they did. Rendell did give us the convention center. The first 2 years we didn't pay anything. We had paid no unions. And they said, well, how are you going to do this? I meet with the union reps. I didn't know there was that many unions in the whole damn city. I went to this room. There was that many union people at a table going, well, how are you going to do this without paying us? I said, because I ain't got no money. I said, would you donate some time? So I asked them all to donate. They were running out the door.
Yeah.
So nobody wanted to. Ticket takers, security people, you name it. They were in there, carpenters, electricians, everybody. But at any rate, they backed off. They let me have it. And they said, well, how are you going to film it like you're doing right now? They didn't know, but I had a hall down here that we used to run. Viking Hall was boxing and wrestling and stuff. So I had a production crew from there. I asked them to do me a favor. They filmed it. We put it in a can because I'm one of them. I will not. If I'm going to get something done, I'll get it done. I'm sorry to tell you, I'm crazy like that. I will get it done. So we get it done. We put it in a can. They had a police car outside running over to Channel 65 to put it on there, which was in Columbus Boulevard and Spring Garden, was in that building. They put it on, and that night we watched the show because everybody wanted to be on TV, of course. But everybody pushed back off of us because Six or whoever was doing the parade at the time didn't want to do a double setup. They'd set up at City Hall, and that was it. So they were all like kind of cutting us off. But I showed them that we could still do it regardless. We have will.
Yeah. Here we are.
We're going to go.
26, 27 years later, we're still there.
We're still there.
Now, your original idea, was it always just for the brigades, or did you want the whole parade to do that? It was hard to get that done, or what was your...
My thinking is this, and I felt if we work together, we could get a lot more done. And at the time, I forget who the president of the String Band Association was, and he asked us to go New Year's Eve, which today I don't think it's a bad idea, okay? If we went New Year's Eve, they would have came in New Year's Day because they could still march on the street. That nonsense about them the horns don't work well. They don't work well in the cold. Trust me, I used to hear them horns when we first got started in the brigades. You want me to describe it for you? Sound like this to me. That's what they sound like. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right.
They'll tell you. So to me, going in the convention center would have been a plus even for them. And we could have ran double shows and made money because I think they sell out no matter what. If you ran 2 different days, it's too much to do in one day. But if we ran, say, the brigades, and a few of our members came up with these ideas, and we try to throw some different ideas out there. Even Live wants us to do something down there. So we need to generate money. We got to get around people that are willing to pay us to do it. That's
Sure.
Yeah.
TV's been spoiled rotten. We have, this parade's got to be worth $4 or $5 million, what everybody puts into it. And we just hand it to them.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a big concern. And at one time, they did pay us some money. And I understand that the market has changed and it's different. But there's got to be a way to find some money for these kids. And that's how I look at them. You know, I'm 72 now. I don't think I ain't going anywhere too soon, but I'm done. You know what I mean? These kids, I worry about the future of this art. Money matters.
Yep. Unfortunately.
How was it hard? Going back, was it hard for you to step back and to give up being captain and letting Petey do it? Or who followed you right away? Petey, right?
Petey, yeah, Petey. I got to say that I really have enjoyed myself for the fact that it took a different level of pressure off. Like, I had never left before. It became his job to never leave now.
Yeah, he
So I
brought a
could
whole
bounce
different
in and out.
energy.
Oh, my God, did he? And you know what? You can't leave. And we call him Petey Centimeters for a reason. The year I'm doing that soldier show, which was the year after Motor City, I made one tank. We said, Petey, make the next tank. He stood there, and if I made the rubber to 1/16th, he had to do the rubber to one. I go, wait a minute, just cut the rubber.
Whose idea was it to jump out of the helicopters?
Me, and I never made it. I have no shoes on. They were still, my shoes are still in the subway on Broad Street somewhere. That's why I never come out. They never got my shoes on. Well, Davey Moe, God rest his soul, he don't have my suit done. I'm sitting in his place on that morning, never drilled with a costume, never
Really?
did anything. So they're trying to put that to change the suit, and they didn't have no shoes on, so I had to stay in the helicopter waving
Speaking of suits,
stuff.
did they surprise the hell out of you with the man costume?
That was really a shock. Here's what happens. I guess you heard the whole story. I'm not.
Somebody sent me a picture from Marketplace, and I sent it to Jeff.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. And then it was a few days later, maybe a week or two, and somebody put the video up of them presenting it to you. And it brought a tear to my eye.
Phenomenal,
I thought it was
phenomenal.
home. It was where it was supposed
I
to
felt
be.
that way too. They said, oh, everybody mandatory meetings. So I usually go if they say that. I had no idea Louis got it. And he bought it himself with his own money. And I offered him the money because I was going to go get it. I said to my wife, she always said, you never saved anything. I said, well, I made this stuff. What do I got to save? You right or wrong? Now,
true.
it sat in here, I don't know how many years, I guess, and the suit winds up in some locker. They said someone was making mummer dolls out of these old costumes. So the sleeves are off. But here Louis bought it and they presented it to me. They put it in a box. It's so
It's
neat.
great.
And Petey, we actually got the suit on. That was the funniest thing.
Yeah. Did it fit you?
I said, Pete, if that zipper wasn't broke, I'd get it up. The zipper was broke. But yeah, it did, believe it or not. I don't know
Those
how,
socks
but-
that fit from 20 years ago.
Is that amazing? They were teasing me about all the captains. All the guys were all texting me. I guess they saw it. They said, oh, like, right away they pick on Billy Keller from the Jokers. They always like laughing about stuff. He said, he wouldn't get his leg in a suit from 25 years ago. So we had some fun.
Yeah, I
we
know
always
that
laugh.
feeling.
Mamas, we laugh. That's it.
Yep.
And that group especially.
And you had some crazy success with like weird, quirky themes, almost more than you did with the more traditional ones, which is almost backwards to other clubs. Why do you think you had so much success with these weird, off the wall themes?
Well, you know what? Every year I would sit back and try to play the field and see what we did and see what others did and say, we just got to do something different. And that's really where it comes from. I don't care if I tore a radio apart. That particular year, Petey was the captain, and I was still the captain of record, but Petey had to wear the suit. I was so tired. It shows you can afford to do this parade if you have the time. Now, in that particular show, which I was so proud of, we came in second. but we almost won the whole parade, spending $28,000 on it.
Really?
The Shooting Stars, I believe, beat us that year, but let me tell you something. I was so proud of that show because I did the costumes. I still have some bets. Some people owe me dinner because they said I wouldn't fit them in one shot. Boo was one of them. So at any rate, I made the costumes. I did the floats. You know how tired I was. So
It's one of my favorite second prizes.
I said,
Yeah.
You got to wear that suit, Pete. We made him you know, the remote. And it was a lot of fun. Again, it was a show that came up. If you turn the music off, right, and just watch it, it's the freakiest looking thing. Because it all comes apart, synthesizers, the whole
The
thing.
equalizers,
And it goes,
whatever.
the equalizer's going up and down. Goes back together and it leaves.
You
It's
mentioned
a lot of
your,
fun.
your favorite kid suit earlier, but my favorite one was the one in the radio because they were the wires with the zip tie
Yeah.
around with the little. Yeah, that was cool.
In fact, Davey Moe is starting to be, wants to be a costume. How'd you do that with the colors? If I tell you I breathed out that paint color for months, and everybody was with me spraying rubber down. We did some wild stuff.
Speaking of crazy ideas, this one jumps out because I was in the Merrymakers in '91, and we followed you, the mannequin shenanigans.
Yeah, man.
And I watched the two sit up top on the float. That was like a cake or something. They just sat there. They didn't move.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with the idea of making mannequins come to life?
Again, just wanting to be different. You know, it was the year that I said, I think the year prior to that, we did the Dirty Dancing show. We said, let's do mannequins, it's clean. And I don't know what I saw, but it was Jim Lasasso, and I tortured everybody. They had to get molds. Them people were molded. The makeup was incredible in
Yeah.
that show. They molded it around their faces. It was tough to do for some of the girls. Oh, my
I remember them standing on Broad Street and they were posing, and it was the
it looks
freakiest
so
thing.
good, and that's the pride. That's what it's like. If I get something and it kicks me off, then I'll just keep working that. You know, it was the fake leg thing. It was the mannequin
Yeah.
look, and the crash dummies was my favorite thing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Petey came out of that windshield flying. This kid Marquizzo, who was my treasure, all good, loyal people that would just about run through the wall for me. So
What one of
I-
these was your favorite one? Because I know my favorite ones. It just jumps out at me.
I'll be honest with you. I love them all. I gotta say, it's hard for me to pick because I did them all. I know everybody loves the Jungle Show.
Oh, Kong.
That Kong show.
It's the greatest
King
show
Kong was
outside.
one- King Kong was good to me in the comics. I did it, and I had a ball with it. And then I was in the brigades when I got it in. I just knew how that was going to come out. Only that, I just know. I feel them kind of shit.
Where did you find that Kong?
We made him. Believe it or not, I made him. And the head I had done in New York. The head. It was a person up here doing plastics, and they went up with a truck to pick just the head up. But when it showed up at the warehouse, I was so disappointed. I'd overbite. So here I am chopping the head apart. They're all laughing. I said, "He don't look like King Kong, this thing." And anybody who was around me would tell you, I spit black fur out for a month because I just made this big thing in a box, and it was great because we used high reaches. And one of my favorite stories about that year, I think Ron Kenny was a baby. He lived it behind there, and they would all come out and look up. I said, got to come out 1 o'clock in the morning. The whole neighborhood will be out over there. So we put it up by our warehouse, and it was over 95. Well, here comes the cops, right? Now they're starting to shine the lights when they went, you got to drop that thing. Everybody on the highway's going crazy.
I remember seeing it from '95 on Serenade Day. Yeah. The Serenade was down there at your old place.
Yes.
And I came over from Jersey, and I came up '95, and I seen it. I went to Tommy Knight.
Yeah.
I said, you got to be kidding me.
And I wanted to have fun with it and the community down there because they've never seen us. And the parade that year was on Market Street.
Yeah.
And I promised to do a full show because in the brigades, when you win, you get serenaded. My whole club dressed that year, and we did it for the community. So you're right.
cool.
We put King Kong out there. We got dressed. We did the whole
Yep.
show in front of what was Foreman Mills in the Viking Hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that year, it was on Market Street. We were going for 4 in a row. We were Toys in the Hood, and we drilled at Second and Market, our first drill. We were feeling pretty good about ourselves. And Stanley's mom, Betsy, came walking by, and she said, it ain't happening today, boys. And we were looked at her. We're like, why? And she said, there's a monkey about 4 blocks ahead of you. So, of course, now we're all trying to sneak up there, and Mickey's yelling at us, where you going? And we saw it, and like, bad taste in the mouth the rest of the day. But that's my favorite.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
all
well, I'll
time.
tell you, here's that show. And I'll tell you, this is where the convention center thought comes through. We were so prepared from that hall. Because you got to remember, I had the luxury of being ahead of the curve with that building, which was, Eli Stein and Leon Silver, S&S Partnership owned the properties, but they allowed me to do whatever I wanted down there, where I got them tenants, and we always traded to help the brigades, you know, and the clubs. So I always helped out other, even other clubs in there as far as string bands or whatever. And I got to say, being prepared in that hall, I go up on that bridge and I'm on top of that thing, and I'm the captain, and I look down and I see trash trucks on Market Street. I thought the parade was over. I said, go. In the middle of the show, we never finished the drill at 5th and Market. We waited on the bridge. We were next to last or something. Boom, we start running. We ran in the City Hall. If you check the film that year, it took forever for us to come into City Hall. We did our only show right at City Hall.
Really?
So us being prepared from that warehouse is what gives me the thought of the convention center, having people be prepared in a place where they're not going to look bad. You work hard all year. I don't want them to have their best. I want them to, every kid, every person in there to be at their best. And the only way to do that is to be in an environment that you can control and get it together. And we did. And it paid that year, trust me, and he knows what that is, a half a show, and then going into City Hall and winning first prize.
Now, what was one of your craziest ideas that you think you had?
I think, you know, they're all crazy. I'm crazy. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with that bean.
I'm looking at all. They're all off the wall.
All wild stuff. It's wild stuff. Petey was a little more traditional, knew how to go at it straight. And then the one time, I will tell you, he comes to me, he says, you know what, bro? He says, we win the first prize. Then he gets, I don't know, ninth. I mean, not ninth. He comes in second, and we march ninth. It might have been in 09. 08 and 09, we don't win. He says, get me a theme. I said, okay. What are you feeling? I said, I'm feeling Mad Max. Let's go crazy. I said, why? I said, come on, we'll do one of my wild things. So we did. Floats were up. And Johnny Bielik, my dear friend, says it best. He says, Butch, I knew we were in trouble because when you went into the judging area, everything that was up came back down, and everything that was down came back up. He said, I knew we were in trouble. So we blew that convention center up with that show, and we win in 2010 because I put bikes on guys. And the funny thing was, nobody designed it. I did it all. We got a book, one of those books with all that kind of stuff in it from video games. And I picked everything out. And one judge and some of the guys were saying, what's Butchie doing? Nuts. I'm getting electrician wire, just the shield sticking out because it looked like bent rebar. And I was driving them nuts putting it in there. Then the judge comment said, look at the rebar. And they all look at me. They're like, you know, just like the Jungle Show, they were laughing about me with little nets out of their bags. I'm a fussy guy with certain things. And it seems like I just strike a nerve.
Yeah, you're the details. Some of the details in some of your costumes are just.
So Petey picked that up. Louis got it. And the dangerous thing today is we're all still there.
Louis could put on a show.
Louis is an entertainer.
He could put on a show.
See, he has them skills of being in front of an audience, because I don't know if you know, but he's a black belt.
Yeah.
He'd done those little themes. I would help him, give him stuff to go do those things. But my real good story on Louis is his mom was my choreographer. Mia, his mom.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And I probably had one of the first black choreographers that they came down Motor City, and he died the second year after that. Steph Alexander Love came through my Aunt Marion's family. Phenomenal choreographer, and both at the same age, so that Motor City stuff fired him up. We had a great time together doing it, and then he started sticking to the club, but he passed away a couple years later, so Mia kind of took it all over, along with my sister Dawn. And when me and Mia would be in the house planning our show, there'd be Louis. I'm telling you, he might have been 3 or 4 years old. He was in a pile of playing parade already. He
There's
was
a
setting
video.
up his toys, and that's true.
Yeah, there's a video of him doing the whole drill. I think Maria videoed it. It's on YouTube somewhere. And he's got to be about 3 or 4 years old doing the whole drill.
Marching next to Johnny Trav with the voodoo show.
Yep.
But in the house, he would get his cousin Frankie. He'd be sitting there. Frankie was one of those kids just sat there. And Louis would dress him all up and throw toys at him, whatever. But he was playing parade. So it's in his DNA. He's done.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah.
Now, with themes back then, now we can look anything up on our phone. Where were you going for your inspiration then? Was it just birth from your mind? You mentioned Dirty Dancing, like different movie gimmicks and things like that. Where'd your inspiration come from back then?
Again, being different, being a builder, and having people don't understand with the parade, there's a lot of great minds, right? But not a lot of great minds that could actually get it done. There's a difference. How to bring that together. I happen to be one of them people. And again, I missed it through school. Had a teacher who went to my family, said, you got to put him in special school. He's gifted. He must have seen something when I would do geometry and stuff on a board. I should see things. I could see things before they were done. And he was freaking out. The teacher in Southern, he would say, this kid, get him up here. And I would start doing it, and I could figure things out. So, like one of my favorite things, like Batman, the Batman show,
That's another one.
Another good one. People don't realize the engineering in that went into that. We were on the street at City Hall. I went there weeks before, and I shot the street with a transit because the street curved. So I marked where my floats would be, and I knew that if I sent the cable up, how I could fly Batman and Robin across the street. And I did it. So that's wild stuff. And then the balloon in the back here, all over them buildings. It really felt like Gotham City.
Yeah, it was cool.
Did you ever have one of them themes where you just said, all right, we can't?
I can't.
I can't. I just can't do it.
No.
I don't think you have
say
either.
that. No. I think everything we ever did, we got as close to perfection as we could.
Yeah.
And they're getting better and better at today. It's just some of the stuff, when it all comes together, is so incredible.
You still hands-on?
Yeah.
You said you were down at the garage tonight.
Absolutely. I love engineering that stuff. I love designing it. I take direction from them because I need to know how many people are going to come from where, what they expect to get a visual out of that. So it keeps me in the game that way.
Right.
And I kind of lay it out, and I'm telling you, I'm blessed with having, there might be 20 guys down there. They're all standing there ready to learn. And it goes from not only doing the construction, I save them a ton of time in reference to actually cutting corners, let's so to say. Like we made rocks out of cardboard, trees out of cardboard, things like that we don't have the money to make it, like Hollywood, but we'll get it as close as possible because I'm creative and I've been through so many years of so many different concepts that I have it in my whole folder.
You ever feel like you put so much work into the show that you forgot about your captain's part at all?
Back in the day, I did. I was so tired. I half the time I couldn't be. I just didn't have my guy. Like Petey's got me. Petey had me. Petey, now Louis has me and Petey.
Yeah.
And my kid and others that were captains. Gerald, we're heart and soul into this stuff, And like, even though a lot of your Second Street clubs take it as an all-year thing, I see our club as, I tell them all the time, you don't win this parade in October. You win it in March. You got to have your plans done and be ready to go. And that part I see as, a lot of energy. But most other people just wait to be told what to do. And our nucleus is strong.
Yeah, and another thing that's scary about you guys, it seems like you're getting younger and younger every year.
There's 120 of them, I think, now. I won the parade with Motor City, I think 32 people in costumes.
Really?
That's all was in that show. 32 folks. 150 marshals.
Oh, yeah, he's always have an army.
Yeah, an army of marshals.
Army of black.
Yeah.
They just keep coming.
Now, you were one of the first brigades to heavily involve women as members. Do you think that gave you an edge and gives you an edge even to today?
Well, one of the times I first used women was a real taboo in the comics. I did King Kong, and I dressed my sister Dawn and my cousins up as them people that were in the thatch. They did such a good job. I was hooked on doing that. But I didn't have women as members. I know none of them want to hear that. But that chicken scratch drives me crazy, okay? Just like our Congress today, the more them women they're getting them involved, the more crazy the whole country's going, right? So I know I sound like but I'm going to tell you, women can march with me any day, but I wouldn't make them be involved in decision making because I don't know what it is about them getting some kind of power or role in that where they just create more and more trouble. Now, my daughter came to me, I want to march. And I looked at her and I said, well, what am I going to do with this now? She wanted to march, and we were in the comics, and she marched the whole way. I went, how could I deny them marching in the parade?
Right.
So I'm for women marching in the parade. It's just how much they get involved and how they get involved. It just doesn't seem to mesh good with men. That's why it took so long now for it to become, like you look at a club with girls, it's just a whole different energy. So they learned that, and it's good. Like the Saturnayians got women, and almost everybody, but I think the Jokers and the Stars.
Yeah, we're the last two.
There's two holdouts without women. But most of the men, you got to remember, they have them clubs because they drink and they party and they don't want to do things around girls in there.
Yeah, it's a getaway.
Yeah. So when now the girls get in there and they start doing some untasteful things, which I like to kick them on the ass. Again, how am I going to do that when the guys act like stupid guys? Now these girls, it's a hard thing. And now what even got worse for me and why I didn't mind backing off is they're my friends' kids. And I always prided my club being my family spot. I know everybody's got their problems. Who wants to smoke pot? Who wants to do it? Not in my club. Do you do that in your home? You don't do it in our house. That's it. And I always carried them rules and was very, very strict with that.
Now, was your discipline the same with the guys as it was with the girls?
Absolutely. They all know.
That's good. That's good.
When I was in charge of the club, nobody got out of line that way. I had everyone respect everybody, girls, boys. Our families are here.
Right.
Our children are here. We're going to teach them the right things. And that's how I always looked at our club. I'm not perfect. I'm telling you, I'm far from it. But I'll tell you right now, I would never do anything disrespectful to. In fact, Billy Keller's daughter marched with me. Davey Moe's 2 girls were in the Jungle Show. Both of them were Batman show, Jungle shows. And they used to go home and tease their father that they beat them, of course. But them kids, they brought them there because they knew I was watching over the kids. I would never let nothing happen. So,
that's why I let my daughter go with the Sats. Because I seen that they were taking care of their girls and I didn't have to worry about her.
That's a good group for family.
Yeah.
I love the Sats in reference to how they do things, Jackie and them down here, and they do a great job.
They got a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The girls need somewhere to go. I'm just saying, maybe I sounded a little like a bigot, but fashion with the girls. To me, having them in charge of stuff, they just seem to get out of hand with it, with each other. It ain't even with the guys. They get catty on who's bartending this. I go, I scratch my head. God, please. Can't we just do this together? We're supposed to do together. Girls start the craziest stuff.
Now, how much control do you still have down there, or did you pass that all off?
That's all passed on. To me, I'm called in as I'm needed. Let's put it that way. They need me, I'm there. I don't try to overstep leadership or any boundaries. And they know I'm so respectful of that because nobody stepped over me.
Now, when you show up at drill, do you think they drill differently? Because I know we've had a couple down drills, and I ran into Mickey, and I said, Mick, you got to start coming around again, because he backed off a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm 58 years old, and I still drill differently when he walks in the door. Yeah. Do you feel they drill differently with you?
I don't know if I feel that, but I know one thing. When I see them, I get so emotional because it's like I'm watching not only my friends' kids, my friends' kids now. It's like generations now. And I look at them, they got so much energy and they got so much pride. I have to say you're probably right, but I never really identified it that way. I'm enjoying it.
I want to impress him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that is happening. Yeah. Yeah. If I go there, there's always not one of them they share respect. They always talk to you, say hello to all the kids. They're just my family.
Yeah, I see you on Serenade, standing on the bleacher or whatever, and you look like a dad, looking down at everybody. You're just so proud, so happy, big ear to ear.
I got to remember, I again founded the entire thing. So to me, I always looked at even Serenades that the whole community's having a good time now. Thousands of people were there having a good time, including the marchers. Like, we all so enjoy each other. I know it's a competition and all that, but everybody comes up. We're happy to see one another. It's just a joyous thing. It really is great.
You just don't like each other for 4 minutes.
That's all it is. I don't even know if it's that. I don't know I still like them. I could watch everybody and they were good. They were good. Everybody's good. They're doing something different.
When's next year start?
Usually January 2nd.
January 2nd. Does that break your heart, seeing all that work that you've done, just getting thrown into a dumpster?
Absolutely. But, the reality is, where are you going to store all this stuff?
Right.
I mean, I had a big warehouse. I had the luxury of putting stuff away for years, which we don't have any longer. But if you measure the time to move things and the space to pay for to keep it, it's sad to say, but it's worth throwing away.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but when it goes in them dumpsters, that's the only way to save.
Yeah.
Of course, I was in the surplus business with that warehouse as well, and I've learned that things sit there and sit there and sit there, and then now it's tying up that square footage, which costs money. You moved it there, now you got to move it again. Then when I had to clean it out when we sold them buildings, it might have been 20 dumpsters of stuff that just sat there. Yeah. And somebody had to pay to get rid of it all again. So you might as well bite the bullet and just get rid of it when you can.
Now, do you still come up with ideas, or do you let them, like Louie will come up with an idea? Do you take that idea and you sit there at night and you start thinking of ideas, try this, try that, or you just back
I'm
off?
more so at this time, they have the idea. I tell them whatever theme you pick is a good theme as far as I'm concerned, right? Bring it to me. Tell me what you want me to make of it, and I'll make it happen. And kind of that's the way we work today. They do run things by me as far as how to do certain things. Like I said, I can cut corners and save them a lot of time and money in cases. And then even ideas go, well, listen, why don't we just do this or just do that? And it's going to be the same effect.
Right.
And they respectfully listen to me. And, they don't really, Louis don't have to. He could just do what he wants to do.
You're done with suits though, right? You don't wear suits anymore, do you?
No. I did. And I may do one more or two more with my grandkids, but that's
Really?
Yeah.
What was the last one you wore?
Petey's show, the undersea thing, which I hated.
Okay.
I loved the show. I hated wearing the suit. I had to sit in the thing and do hand stuff. See, I was a captain. So a captain, you could do whatever you want. I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
Did you do choreography?
And I wasn't a good captain at that. So.
Did you ever do choreography as captain, or just literally whatever you wanted?
As a captain, you're supposed to, and you got to know how to move around to sell the show.
Yep.
And Petey was an entertainer, very good at it. And so was Louis. And my nephew Gerald did it one time and won first prize.
Yeah.
I mean, them kids, they're bred in the parade. They know what to do.
Is the Vikings captain voted or appointed?
Voted. No,
Voted?
we vote. Yeah, they vote. Yeah, they vote.
So even
More or less, that organization, though, they come to me or Petey and they say, what do you think? When we were making that move and Petey was retiring, and we both thought he was the right choice. He was the right pick. So we're a big part of that. But
the year that you took off because you were helping with the convention center stuff, you were still the captain technically, right? You just sat out.
Yeah, I had it. I ran the show from an office with a window, and it was crazy. I had 3 radios: a city radio, convention center radio, and then our brigade radios. And the whole thing goes crazy when a good friend of mine came in with a mummers group, a comic group, and the Geeter, God rest his soul, he did the entertaining as far as in between the show for me. But Al, a good friend of mine, Al, fell down in the back in Carmelingo, passed away the very first year we walked in there.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they kept it quiet in there, but we made sure we took care of him and his family. Nobody fought anything. It was so sad. They did tell me he was like, he hit the floor and just died. He was mama strong and crazy and just passed away. The saddest thing is his daughter was in Cleveland.
Really?
She was in one of the brigades. So how do you handle that? Now, on the radios, they don't tell you anybody died. They just say, you got the EMTs in here. We got to hold up. So the whole show's held up the very first year. And the Geeter, God rest if he was around, he could tell you, I threw him to the wolves. He said, Jerry, keep going. You got to keep the crowd going. We got a problem in the back. And he was out there doing, my man, doing his thing for like an hour. Oh, we were sweating. We finally got the show off and going. And a guy named Mike Nice helped me with production because I had no idea how to call camera shots. I learned a lot that year about production. Mm-hmm. We had like 8 cameras, and I knew what camera shots. I studied the shows. So some of the clubs will tell you today, if you go to that old film from 98, that would have been one of the best shows produced, because even though it was on 65 and the channel wasn't great, it was a good call of the way the camera shots were being done, because I studied everybody. So I knew when the jokers were coming up with that light, like what to put it on. Yep. And I knew what to do with, and our lighting wasn't that hot in there. There was a lot of little things that we tweaked after, but I had a good time and I learned a lot. And wanted to give that up right away too.
Now, your last year was Star Wars.
Yes.
Did you know that year that was going to be your last year?
No.
Or?
We planned this year. Then the very next year, I planned the show Cyber Nations. It was a good show. It came in 3rd, but they finished it, and I retired that year because I called the club together. There were some members thought that the Freight Factory was a business for me and not something I was trying to raise money to build the floats. And when the membership didn't show up, the Avenue helped. A lot of different clubs came to help. And we paid them. We paid them like $16,000 to the Avenue. Like, they raised money. We did good. I just did that in 3 weeks to raise money for the props. And I learned that if I can't get the club to motivate to come here to raise money to build the props, then I'm done. I'm not that captain.
Now, you mentioned the Avenures. My son's up there. And one of the first things I noticed being up there was you were involved with the Avenures. And I realized a lot, you help out a lot of little clubs.
All them little clubs, I try to help them survive, give them advice, space, whatever I could do to help out, because that's how I believed it. Just like our buildings together. I enjoy that.
We just talk about that. That would be such a great thing if it was left alone.
Yep. Well, leave it to the railroad or anybody else in major politics and money. We can't get any help. Yeah, look, it's tough.
I grew up when all the brigade, actually everybody was down there. Remember down at Pier? And I used to just walk through and just look at everybody's stuff.
And you know what's funny? Like this year, I don't want to mention the names of the clubs, but they're borrowing some of our stuff. We're letting them use our stuff that we had that we don't need this year.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right.
Down here, clubs would share the different things that were made, saving money. But when they left, and the mummers are their worst nightmare, and where they left all the trash, and it took I don't know how many trail loads of trash out of that pier. So when you mention mummers to the city, they don't want nothing to do with us. It's sad. I tried to get us stuff down in Navy Yard, PIDC. Bob Brady was trying to help us, even with this railroad gig. And I went to an area where there was homeless people, cleaned it up, and started putting little buildings back there. You figure, the community will get behind the clubs. They came at us so hard. You have no idea.
That's a shame.
It is tough. And I mean, they threaten to put liens on them and things that I wouldn't do to an enemy, let alone mummers.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Before we wrap up and finish up, if you could give one piece of advice, because you talk about all the young kids and you love seeing all that and continuing to keep this going, what would be your piece of advice of how they keep this going successfully for a long time?
I think the biggest thing is money for these people. That's my biggest thing, is to try to help them raise money. And I know Live was interested. The Phillies were interested in helping us. So we might have to double breast some things, do some things where we do the city. Because let's face it, the city be lost without the mummers. They say Philly sports, pretzels, mummers. I mean, you always hear about mummers, but how come nobody helps mummers? We're the farthest thing from bigots that you'll ever find.
Yep.
We have a mix of races, and we have the women. We have everything. I don't understand. And you talk about arts and culture. That's where we should be going with this, okay? Because the arts and culture community could raise money like nobody else. It just seems like there's this barrier, and I don't want to bash comics, but you get a clown running around in a winch shooting an umbrella. That doesn't represent our whole parade. Everybody has their way of expressing himself that day. Okay, brigades have their classic shows, and they're done like it's true. They're like many Broadway shows in that convention center. The bands, when I see them, no matter what, they're good all the time. At a wedding, on the street, when they put a show on, they seem to march so organized and clean. How could you? And then how about teaching kids music? How about how many kids that I taught how to use tools? I had no idea. On Father's Day, my wife reads some of the things that come through from some of these kids. I had no idea I was that much of an impression upon them. They were getting, some of them abused at home. I took them in that warehouse. They're making floats. Before you know it, they're using screw guns. And I can name 3 or 4 of them that have their own little companies today and attribute that gift of using tools to me. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I was doing a parade, but people don't realize how much comes from this parade.
Such an outlet.
Yeah, the girls, how about their dancing, choreography? And how about the biggest thing of all? They're safe.
Yeah.
They're over there doing something in a warehouse, in a maybe a gym, dancing. They're safe. They're not on some corner maybe doing drugs with some animals.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I think people are missing about when I talk about family and doing this together, is they're safe. That's how I feel about them.
Well, I agree, and that's one of the main reasons that we're doing this, to kind of push that message out there and what the mummers are all about, and what we're here for, and hopefully here for years and years and years to come. So it's nice to hear somebody.
Well, I wish you
with your
success
stature.
in
Thank
any
you.
way that we can help. I'm here. He called, I'll
Appreciate
be there.
that.
And at any time, when it comes to the art, like in 2010, we did America's Got Talent. We didn't do it because we were going to think we're going to win something. We did it because we wanted to help market our parade. Like, nobody does enough of what you're doing right now. And I respect that, because we have to reach out to outlets any way we can.
Absolutely.
And you never know who, and I still think our arts community should be more a part of this than anything, because I don't think they realize how much talent there is in these clubs. When I got involved with the brigades, I seen the feather and the stuff that they were doing back pieces. I mean, I came from the comics. I mean, I came from that. And then you look at that and you just go, oh my God, these guys were doing it for years already. So I had to learn. Right? Yeah. Wire work. And there's so many big names like Kamada, them guys that did wire work. And, I can go on and on. But arts, as far as teaching kids how to use tools, think about that. They fix their houses, they do whatever. And I get a kick out of them when they all walk in the warehouse with a little kit and a bucket and they're screwing and they're helping. They love it.
It's almost like a layman way of getting into construction, arts, music, engineering, because it's all practical.
Absolutely.
And it's something, and when you can add a flair of competition, it makes you want to do it that much more.
There's the mission. See, if you don't have that goal and that mission, okay, like I said, our mission, because for years we've done well and we were blessed, was to impress ourselves, right? So while we're doing that, I would come up with these cockamamie ideas and I would try to make things work and get everybody excited. Meanwhile, they didn't realize they're cutting rubber and they're sewing. I have people sewing. I was watching them, look at this. We're using tools, cutting. Made sure nobody's getting hurt, doing it the right way. And you're right, they could go home, fix their homes, fix their mom's house, whatever. You know, they got handy. But
And you're right, at the same time, they're not hanging on the corner.
and they're safe. I keep saying that because what else are they going to be doing, these kids, if you think about it? But if I told my brother Pete, he came from a rough crew, they had a rough crew, and that's where I got a ton of them marshals. Well, one thing, they were safe when they were around us. And I said, you know, where would these kids be today? A lot of them say that to me. They go, you know, I don't know where I'd be today because I had that, you know, that saying, idle time's a devil's workshop. You believe it. They'll find something crazy. Say, miles of being a mama. So come on, let's help.
I thank you for coming.
Oh, anytime, man.
Anytime.
I cheated. I went to Billy Bowen on you.
I know, it's okay. He told me.
You can't tell Billy Bowen no.
It was a pleasure, man. Any way I can
absolutely.
help you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Believe me, I love women. Don't take no offense.
And Butchie mentioned the marketing, and of course he's right. So we got to do our little marketing piece, which is follow Mom Nation on Facebook and listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now iHeartRadio as well. Don't forget to leave us comments because we like to hear what you have to say about all the episodes. Butchie likes to hear what you have to say and interact with all our polls that we put out there. Comment on Mom Nation. Billy loves to hear every single piece of everything you have to say, and text him too. He likes that. Turn on the alerts for new episodes, and if you're interested in sponsoring, reach out to any three of us, or if you have an idea for an episode, let us know. But it was a great one, and we really appreciate you coming out.
Anytime,
awesome.
man. Anytime. I'll be back anytime you need me.
Thank you.
All right?
We're Mike Jacobs.
Hi.
Billy Oakum.
Ellie
And
Aaron.
Heather Hearn.
We'll see you next time.